This is a production of PBS Charlotte.
The following episode of Charlotte Cooks is brought to you by Central Piedmont Community College and viewers like you. Thank you.
Coming up on this episode of Charlotte Cooks, we're making a gingered butternut squash spring roll. Stay tuned. Hi there, and welcome to this episode of Charlotte Cooks. Today we're going to be making a delicious vegetarian dish using gingered butternut squash and those wonderful rice wrappers that you find in Thai restaurants that they wrap up with shrimp and basil, and we're going to make some of those today. I'm going to show you how to handle them and put all kinds of fun ingredients inside of this. But our ingredients today are going to be totally vegetarian, and we're going to start off with the butternut squash. Now, peel your squash. Use the neck. The necks are usually pretty darn solid, and then when you get down to the bottom, you're going to start seeing some seed parts. But to dice it up, all you're going to do is just make some nice slices. Squashes are hard, okay? So when you're trying to cut this, instead of trying to manage it like this, put the tip of your knife on your cutting board and bring the back end of your knife down, and that's going to give you more control rather than trying to cut it like this. You see how unstable that is? Put the knife down and bring the back of your knife down, and that's going to give you some actual leverage on your knife and prevent you from slipping and really cutting yourself. So then we're going to just take it and we're going to cut it into some juliennes. Well, they're going to be bigger than julienne, but we're just trying to make them into some cubes, and we're going to give it a nice little saute. So once I turn this on this side, put in the cubes. Do they have to be perfect and exact? No, they don't. So just nice and carefully slice all your butternut squash, and then we're going to drop it into a bowl and get started on our saute. So I have it already cut up over here, so I'm going to drop this into my bowl. Now you might use a whole butternut squash for this, you might not, and that's okay. So whatever you have left, save it for another use, because butternut squash is very versatile. So what I'm going to use in my saute now, you want a nice deep dish, and you want a dish with a lid, because one thing we're going to do when we cook this squash is we're going to cook it so it does not fall apart. We want it to hold the shape that it has, and that's just part of the appeal of the final roll, okay? So we're going to turn our heat on high. We're going to add a little bit of vegetable oil to the bottom of our pan. We're also going to add a couple pieces of butter. And the butter's just there to give it some flavor. And the oil is here to give the butter a higher smoke point. So if you ever just sauteed with butter, you're going to notice that the butter burns. If you add a little bit of vegetable oil to that, it raises the smoke point of the butter, so you can saute in that a little bit longer before it actually starts to burn the butter. So because the oil's there, it's not going to actually burn the butter. Once this is all melted, we're going to add an onion that we've already done a nice dice in. Stir that around in your pan. And now I've also got some ginger here. The ginger I put on a microplane, or you can even use a box grater, and you want to use a lot of ginger. This is about a half a cup of ginger I'm going to put in here, okay? So drop that in there. There we go. While this is softening, I'm going to show you how I did this ginger, and it's really very easy to do. Ginger is one of those wonderful, wonderful spices. Can't really call it an herb because it's not leafy and green, but let me show you how I prepared that. I used a box grater, and a box grater is a really good thing to use. A box grater, a piece of ginger, and a spoon. This is all you need. So to peel your ginger, I'm going to take this little piece right here. To peel your ginger, you just take your spoon and peel the ginger like this. You see how that's happening? It just takes the skin right off the ginger, and once that's all off, you just put it on the box grater and give it a nice little shred. Now you can use a microplane for this too, but when you're doing a volume, like about a half a cup or so, just use a bigger apparatus so that you can work faster, that's all. If you don't have a box grater, don't worry about it. But I'm telling you, most people have box graters before they have microplanes at home. So on your box grater, you want to choose a hole that is relatively small. So just put it on there and shred it up. okay? And what comes out is your shredded ginger. And this is what we're going to be using for our saute, okay? Come over here and give this another little stir. I'm gonna add a little more oil to this, just to cover the bottom of the pan. And once the onions have started to soften, oh, it smells delicious. Smell it, it smells great. We're gonna add our butternut squash. So our butternut squash, we're gonna put it in here. And that's all we're gonna do. Don't overload your pan. Give it a nice stir. Now there's enough moisture in this butternut squash to actually cook it. You don't need to add any moisture to it. If you added water to this, what would happen is that the butternut squash would start to fall apart. Okay, we don't want that to happen. So we're gonna put a little lid on this, turn this heat down to medium, medium-low, and we're going to let that simmer, all right? And so once this is done, this is going to be nice and tender. You're going to take a paring knife and you're going to take it and you're going to push the paring knife into the squash, and that's going to let you know when it's done. Now you can tell, I just started this, and you can tell right now that that squash is still pretty hard, okay? So we're going to let that cook, and while that's cooking, I'm going to put together a couple of things that we need to wrap our rolls. One of the first things I'm going to do is cook up some cellophane noodles. What are cellophane noodles? Cellophane noodles are mung bean threads, and they're very, very fine. They're wonderful, actually. They don't have a whole lot of flavor, but they have a wonderful texture, okay? You can cook these a couple of ways. You can put them in some boiling water, like we're going to do today. You can also take them and deep fry them, and look at what they turn out when they deep fry. They're wonderful, crunchy, lovely little noodles. Just light and fluffy and great as air. I like using these things as little backup underneath. You'll see how I use them later on with the rolls, okay? So we want to get this water boiling, and once this water comes to a boil, we're going to drop our noodles into it, and we're going to let them simmer for only 1 to 2 minutes. About 1.5 minutes is really what I leave them in. The instructions on the bag will say from 1 to 2 minutes, even longer. Sometimes they'll say to just put them in there and let them soak. We want them to still have a little bit of a tooth to them. We don't want them to be crunchy. So in the meantime, let me put together a couple of our dipping sauces that we're going to use, because you have to have a wonderful dipping sauce for these spring rolls. All right, so here's a very, very easy chili sauce that we've made, and it's really super simple to make. All you're going to do is take some orange marmalade. You're going to take something that's called a sambal olik. A sambal olik is a chili condiment that comes out of Vietnam, comes out of Thailand. It's spicy hot, it really is. And so when you use the sambal olik, you're going to want to add a little bit of this to your orange marmalade, according to your taste. A little bit or a lot. You can add a little bit of lemon juice to this as well, and you just stir this in to be whatever desired heat you want, okay? Just like that, and that's all that is. Just a very, very, very simple sauce. There's another soy sauce I'm going to show you how to make too, a soy dipping sauce that is wonderful. But I really like the sweet chili sauces with these rolls. They're just really, really yummy. We got a boil on our water now. We're going to take our cellophane noodles. We're going to drop them right in. Going to grab a little pair of tongs and break them up just a little bit. Okay? Look at how beautiful. Oh, I think these are lovely. Mung beans. That's what these are made from. So about a minute and a half on these. Our noodles are done. We're going to strain them, and then make sure you rinse them with cold water to stop the cooking process, and then put them in a bowl so that they're ready for us to use. Let's give a double check to our butternut squash here. See how that's doing. We're going to take our paring knife once again. Ooh, yeah, it's starting to get there. Let's give it a nice little stir. Yeah. Oh, that smells wonderful. Can you guys smell that? It's wonderful. Okay, you can see how sometimes the butternut squash is starting to break apart, and this is where we're going to test it with our knife and make sure that that knife goes in all the way and goes in easily. And once that knife goes in easily, this stuff is done, okay? And so an easy in, we're ready. So you want to take this, you want to cool it down completely. We don't want it hot. So let's cool this down completely. Let's make a soy dipping sauce, and then we're going to make a peanut dipping sauce. And for the peanut dipping sauce, you're going to need a little pot, and you're going to need a little bit of water in this pot, and this little water needs to be boiling. So I'm going to put a little bit of water in here. And I'm not going to give you any measurements, guys, because you can figure this out at home. How much do you need to make? Do you need to make a gallon? Do you need to make a quart? Do you need to make a pint? Do you need to make a cup? Okay, so I'm just going to let you guys figure that out as you go, but these things don't require exact measurements, so put some water in there that's going to be about the volume that you need for your finished sauce. So I've got about a cup of water in here, and I'll bring that to a boil. While I'm waiting for that to boil, I'm going to make the soy sauce. We're going to take a little bit of the low sodium soy sauce, we're going to put it into a bowl. Just a little bit, because we're not making a whole lot. To this, we're also going to be adding some of our seasoned rice wine vinegar. The rice wine vinegar is seasoned with both salt and sugar. The unseasoned comes without salt and sugar, and you can usually tell the difference because the unseasoned soy sauce will have a green top and a green label as opposed to the red top and the red label. And that seems to be consistent among brands. So choose the seasoned or the unseasoned. There are two different kinds of rice wine vinegar out there. So put a little bit of that in there, about maybe a tablespoon or two. We're going to be taking a little bit of our toasted sesame oil. Now this stuff is super strong, y'all, so don't be putting a whole lot of this in there, just a couple of drops. All we're using this for is a little punch of flavor and aroma, because it's very, very pungent, very strong. We're also going to be taking a little bit of ginger. So we have our ginger that I showed you earlier on how to do on the box grater. So I'm just going to take a little bit of this. We don't need a whole lot of ginger in here, just a little bit. That's about enough. Use the edge of my knife to pick this up to drop this in there. We don't need a lot of ginger. Once again, it's just there for just a splash of flavor. Okay, so that's really all you need for this sauce. It's a nice, thin, wonderfully flavored, light, bright soy sauce. Now for the peanut sauce. We're going to take some peanut butter. Now you can use whatever peanut butter you like. You can use chunky peanut butter, you can use smooth peanut butter. We're going to add it to our water here. Now this stuff, when you first put it in the water, it may seize up on you and it may look really weird, but don't give up on it, okay? You don't need all of this peanut butter in here, maybe a tablespoon or two. That's all you really need, because as it boils, it will thicken. You're going to take a whisk. You're going to whisk this up. Into our peanut sauce, we're also going to be adding a little bit of soy sauce, just to give it that pungent flavor, a little bit of soy sauce. We're going to be adding, once again, a little bit of our rice wine vinegar, just enough to give it a little tang, all right? Just a little tang. We're going to be adding some minced scallions. Put those in there. Stir that up. And a little bit of our hot chili sauce. Not a whole lot, just a little bit. I'm just going to pop that out, just to give it a little bit of heat, okay? So now my sauce is the consistency I want. You see it's nice and thick. I'm going to put it into a bowl that we can serve it in. It'll cool down, and you can serve this hot or cold. I like it basically room temperature, so just leave that out. There's our peanut sauce. So now we're going to roll our spring rolls. A couple of things you need to have on hand. You need to have a nice damp towel. Now I chose a dark one here because these spring roll wrappers are nice and light in color, and I'm hoping I'll be able to show you the spring roll wrapper and you'll be able to see it on the back of this dark cloth. Our spring roll wrappers, they are beautiful rice pancakes. They have a lovely texture to them, whoops, and they break, as you can see, okay? So when you find them, you gotta handle them very carefully because they do break. They're very delicate. They feel like pieces of leather almost, but there you can see how they just pop and break on you. So you want to make sure that they're not broken. You want to make sure you have nice solid pieces. Now how do you can't roll that, can you? So what are we going to do? We're going to take a little dish. Make sure that it's wide enough to actually fit the wrapper inside, and so it sits down on the bottom. And you're going to put some warm water in this, not hot water. Warm water, just, you know, kind of like you'd wash your hands in, okay? Let me get some warm water. So So I've got the water ready to put my wrappers in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in there and let it sit for just a few minutes. And I'm going to just do these one at a time. So while I'm waiting for that to get in there, I'm going to pull forward my ingredients that I need to wrap my rolls. I'm going to use my cooled butternut squash, okay? I'm going to use some sliced scallions. I'll show you a trick on scallions here in a few minutes. Some fennel. If you're not familiar with fennel, I suggest you get used to fennel, because fennel is one of these beautiful, beautiful vegetables that has a wonderful licorice flavor, but very light licorice flavor that adds a real enhancement to things. If you don't like fennel, you can leave it out. Not a problem. We've got some sauteed shiitake mushrooms. We have some green beans. We have some raspberry puree. Yes, it's that flavor pop that really, really, really is gorgeous. We have some radicchio. Radicchio is a endive that is red, and it's on the bitter flavor, so it's got all these wonderful taste qualities that are just absolutely extraordinary. So by now, my wrapper is ready. See? It's nice and pliable. I'm going to lay it on this cloth and I'm going to spread it out, okay, into a nice circle shape. Now sometimes you'll find instructions that will say to go ahead and start putting your next wrapper in there, but I find that they get too soft. If they get too soft, they're really hard to handle. One of the reasons you put the cloth down is to help absorb the excess water from it. You're going to take some steamed green beans, and you're going to put a couple of steamed green beans down here in the center, just like this, okay? So what this becomes now is the frame where you put all of your other ingredients, okay? So I'm going to take a spoonful of our butternut squash, and I'm going to put it in here. I could use another little spoonful here. Put that right in there. Take a little squirt of our raspberry puree, put it right on top. We're going to take a little bit of our radicchio. You can put that on top. Take a few of our cellophane noodles. Put those on top. Now you see I'm not using a whole lot of anything, just a little bit, and it's all color. All right, a couple pieces of fennel just for flavor, not a whole lot. Just a couple little pieces of fennel. And I have some red radishes here that I chopped up as well. A couple of pieces of those. That adds a nice little spicy heat. Now, to wrap it, just like a burrito, pull the sides up, and the sides might stick to each other, and that's okay. Don't worry about that. Don't freak about it. Fold this over, once again, and then fold it up nice and tight, just like you would a burrito, all right? And voila, there you go. And the beautiful thing about this is that you can see through the wrapper, and you can actually see what's inside of all of your rolls. So we're going to take our rolls, I'm going to put them right here, and before you serve them, you cut them on the bias, okay? Give them a little cut right on the bias. So you can take the roll and you can stand it up on your plate. Just stand it up. And you can see I put some of these fried noodles on here. So now I'm going to go ahead and wrap another one. Show you how to do this. I left the mushrooms out of that one. You guys can put anything you want to in these rolls, all right? So take another wrapper. Oh, that one's got a little break in it. Can you use that? Yeah, you could. Do you have to? I'm going to use it so I can show you how you can use the broken ones, okay? Put it in here. Just let it start getting soft, okay? Now, there are other ways. I've seen people do it before where they've taken the wrapper and actually put it on to the damp cloth and just take their hands and rub water into it this way on both sides. And some people will do this because they feel that it actually provides less water and it softens them up nicely. Okay, but at the same time, you can take this wrapper. This is a little bit more time consuming, but that is one way that you can do it. But right in here is another wonderful way, okay? So when you pick it up out of your water, lay it down and get it spread out again. Lay you down here. a couple of green beans. Now remember, leave space at the sides and space at the bottom, all right? And this becomes the frame for your filling. Put some of your filling in here. And whatever it is you like. You can add a little bit of your raspberry puree. Now, if you're using the raspberry puree, guys, I like putting it in the middle so that it doesn't sort of bleed out onto the wrapper. Remember how you can see through the wrapper really easily? A little bit of radicchio, a couple of sautéed shiitake mushrooms. I'm going to put some scallion on here, and a couple pieces of fennel, and some cellophane noodles. Not a whole lot of anything, just a little touch of a lot of things, because that's what gives these things lots of yummy flavor. All right, so we're going to fold it up, burrito style, okay? And here we go. Nice, tight little rolls, okay? Just like that, okay? So if you wanted to put shrimp inside of these, make sure your shrimp is cooked, because these don't get cooked any further. You could put shrimp inside of them. You could put crab meat inside of them. You could put lobster inside of them. You could do a lot of wonderful things with these. So here we go. Here are our butternut squash, our gingered butternut squash spring rolls. And we are going to be serving those with some of our delicious peanut sauce. Let's take this and put our nice little spoon in there so we can get lots of yummy peanut sauce. We're going to serve them with our sweet chili sauce that also has some spicy heat to it. And we can also dip our rolls into a lovely little soy sauce. We've got a beautiful platter of rolls over here. I hope you decide to make these, and I hope you enjoy them as much as we do. This can be as versatile as your imagination. They're absolutely a fun thing to do with family, with friends, as a nice little summer, nice little light spring meal. Just enjoy them, enjoy them, enjoy them. Scallions, all right? Scallions. Okay, guys, when you get a scallion, and this is one of my favorite things. I love scallions, and I love having scallions on hand. And whenever you go to the store, sometimes you buy scallions, and you may not use the whole bunch of them that they have, but let me show you something. See this little root end down here? When you use your scallions, use the whole bit, okay? Some people don't like to use the white part. Some people don't like to use the green part, but I think the whole piece of the scallion is absolutely delicious. Let me show you something I got going on down here. Some people call this my farm. I think it's pretty funny. When you take your scallions, take a little piece, plop it in a little cup of water, and these things will grow on you. See all this green stuff? They all sprouted out of the ends of the scallion, just like this. The thing is, make sure you have some root on the end, because the root on the end is actually, you'll see it starting to grow. And when it starts to grow, you can take it and you could put it in a little bit of dirt. Now I'm going to take these, I'm going to put them in a big pot that I have at home once they're established. And they winter, they don't freeze in the winter, they keep growing all year. And then when you go out to your plant and you say, I need a scallion, instead of pulling the whole scallion out of the ground, you could clip it off once again, just about right when they're about the size of a pencil. It's the perfect time to harvest them. Clip them off and they'll grow again, and you'll have a perpetual scallion garden. It's really kind of fun. The scallions aren't that expensive, but I really hate throwing them away when I don't use them. And I found that this is one of those methods that I will never, ever, ever lose a scallion again. And I have a scallion farm. You can have one too. And it's a really neat little trick to use up your scallions, have them growing, and always have fresh scallions on hand. You can get our recipes off of our website at pbscharlotte.org, or you can email me anytime. My email is Pamela, Pamela, .Roberts, Roberts, @cpcc.edu. I would love to hear from you. And thanks for watching this episode of Charlotte Cooks, and we'll catch you next time.
a production of PBS Charlotte.